Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me? Just want to make sure that my mic is working before we hop into this. So yeah, just give me a little thumbs up or something. Let me know that you can hear me. Cause yeah, it would really suck to get into the game. You know, a game where I'm gonna be reading a lot. If y'all can't fucking hear me. That shit would not be okay. I also can, in theory, pull it up real fast, just to make sure. Give me one moment. Just to make sure everything's good here. I gotta wait for the ad real quick, hold on. Just to make sure y'all can hear me, because if you can't hear me, that shit would suck. I'm so excited. Look how cute he is with his little cast. His little wavy eyebrows. I love him. He is baby. Yeah, we're just checking real quick that y'all can hear me. Okay, beautiful. Y'all can hear me? Fucking perfect. Now that I know my mic is working, for my sake, and for those of you that don't know, this is Our Life Beginnings and Always. It's cute as shit. We're gonna go through the tutorial real quick, and then we will hop in a game. Welcome to the Our Life Beginnings and Always full tutorial. It goes over every gameplay aspect and how it all works in detail. From the main menu, there are multiple ways to get into the game. Continue loads the most recent save, if there is one, otherwise it starts the game from the beginning. New file always starts the game right from the beginning, and load lets you pick from all available save files and jump back into whichever one you'd like to keep playing. You'll also see a gallery option from the menu. The gallery lets you view special CG images that appear at certain points in the story. Many CGs happen automatically by simply going through the game, while some can only be seen by making specific choices and or having a specific type of relationship with a certain character. It isn't possible to get every CG from a single playthrough. You have to replay, reload a save file to make different choices in order to see them all. A handful of CG images aren't available in the free version of the game. They only appear in the DLC moments that can be purchased. We have all of them, so we'll be fine. DLC CGs are marked as such, so you know if you can fill that spot or not while playing the free version. Hell yeah. Getting into the actual game, Our Life currently is divided into 4 time periods called steps. Step 1, childhood. Step 2, adolescence. Step 3, teenage. And Step 4, adulthood. The script is further divided into sets of vignettes that take place during specific periods of time. These are called moments. Moments can be played in any order or skipped entirely. You move on to the next step whenever you want by selecting that summer is ending. Unlike the first 3 steps, Step 4, adulthood, is a little different. It acts as an epilogue and won't feature moments like the first 3 steps. Steps 1 to 3 include 5 moments each, and even more can be unlocked by purchasing DLCs. 3 DLCs are available right now, a DLC for each step from 1 to 3. More will release later on. I think they're all released now. When you begin your Our Life playthrough, you'll be met with a character creation screen. There you'll be able to decide various details about the protagonist for that file. You determine nearly everything about the main character: name, appearance, personality, pronouns, interests, skills, their relationship with major characters, and so on. You can decide to change the details as time goes on, with a few exceptions. Your last name, skin tone, and eye color can't be altered once set. To make the traits you're giving the MC easier to picture, there's a cute doll shown on the MC featured deciding screens. Not all the things you decide about the MC will appear on the doll. The script referring what you've decided for the MC is the main way those decisions influence the game. As the MC grows up, even more options become available to them. And Our Life has a first-person perspective, so your character doesn't appear next to other character sprites. You only see the MC as the decorative doll, and in special cut-in CG images, the cut-in CGs only appear if certain choices are made. It's possible not to see any during a playthrough. As mentioned, one of the decisions you'll get is to make for your character is selecting a name. You can type in any name you like, or you can pick a preset name. Preset options are called voiced names because the name will be voiced aloud by the romantic lead. You'll get to hear him say your name as you play through the story. Only the default name, Jamie, is included in the base game. Hundreds more can be added by getting a free voiced name expansion DLC. The full collection of names is separated out as a DLC because of how large it is. If you're not interested in that feature, you don't need to get it. Each name in the DLC belongs to or was selected by someone who supported this project. That's really fucking cool. After choosing a voice, you'll be able to retype the name if the spelling isn't what you'd like, such as using the voiced name Gray, but with the spelling Gray. Gotcha. And you can change the name voice you go by each time a new step begins. You can also go from using a voiced name to an unvoiced name and vice versa. While all of the characters in Our Life have partial voice acting, only the main interest will utilize the voiced first name feature. No one else will say the names out loud. Okie dokie. Moving on from the character creation screen, there's a second special screen that determines details about the MC, the interest comfort screen. Unless you get DLCs, the game has one love interest, Cove Holden. He grows up with the MC, and the interest comfort screen is crucial for determining how that plays out. Interest level sets how much you like him. There are 4 levels: disinterest, fond, crush, and love. Love is only available starting in step 3, and if you were at fond or crush in step 2. The difference between crush and love is not as large as the difference between other interest levels, since both make the MC interested in Cove. Cool beans. But crush means you're interested in him and might consider having him be your boyfriend. You can still be flirty with other characters around. Love means Cove is absolutely the only person in the world for the MC, and they'd consider not just dating but spending their whole life with him. You can't be flirty with anyone else either. Good to know, good to know. Comfort determines how you generally react/think when it comes to him. There are 3 levels: nervous, relaxed, and direct. Your level of interest and comfort will set the type of dynamic your character has with the love interest. You get to decide your interest comfort near the beginning of every step. Comfort can switch between the 3 levels as you please. Your interest level can only stay the same or increase. Your current level of interest will become the new lowest option on the screen in the future. For example, if you decide to be fond in step 1, disinterest will not be available on the screen in steps 2 through 4, which will make fond the bottom level option for your relationship. What you did in the past will influence the present, and feelings can change over time. An indifferent interest level in step 1 that moves to a crush level in step 2 will be a little different than if you were always crushing on Cove. The same goes for the other interest level combinations: indifferent staying indifferent, indifferent to friendship, friendship that's still friendship, friendship to crush, etc. Through interest levels, you can make a slow burn romance starting at disinterest and having the feelings grow over the steps until love is reached only at the very end. Or you can be totally into each other from the beginning, or you can always just stay good friends, or something else. The experience can be further customized by trying out different comfort levels. As for him, Cove will return the same level of interest you have. He wants to get along with you if you give him a chance. If you don't, he'll keep his distance. Interest level has an impact when it comes to physically interacting with Cove. While growing up, things are rather simple. If you get along with one another and have a close relationship, you can choose to touch him, and Cove will occasionally interact with the MC in lighthearted or comforting ways. But starting in step 3, touching can become more romantic or suggestive if you're at crush or love. To make sure that things go nicely with that, there will be an extra choice to determine initiate level and a bonus mini tutorial that goes along with the choice to explain the feature in more detail. Basically, even if you decide you like Cove, the game won't force you to act on those feelings. You can always choose not to get together with him, choose not to accept or give romantic gestures, etc. If you do decide to date Cove, though, you can't break up with him later. Interest Comfort gets the basics down, but it's the choices that appear throughout the normal game events that decide what actually happens between the MC and Cove. And it isn't only the MC who is impacted by your decisions. Cove grows and changes over the years. How he's treated and what he experiences helps shape who he becomes. After step 1, Cove's personality, appearance, and interests will vary based on what happened in the previous step. The differences in personality become more notable in step 3 than in step 2. Cove's appearance is separated into shirt, pants, hairstyle, glasses, bracelet, and necklace. Earrings also become available in step 3 and tattoos in step 4. Usually there are as many options as the number step it is, so only one version of Cove in step 1, 2 hairstyles, shirt options, glasses types, etc. in step 2, and then 3 on each in step 3. There are some exceptions. In steps 2 and 3 only have one necklace option, and step 4 has 2. And sometimes Cove has special occasion outfits, such as wearing a swimsuit or jacket. Those clothes tend to have fewer possible options or only come in just one version. Hair, shirt, and pants have to appear on Cove. Glasses, bracelets, necklaces, and earrings are optional and can be left out entirely. Cove's personality falls along a warm, moderate, cold spectrum. As a child, he simply says what he thinks when he feels like, and that's it. He can remain that way as he grows, become chattier, or start keeping things to himself. A moderate Cove will remain straightforward and candid with how he tends to interact with people. A Cove on the warm side can be more polite and personable, might have longer conversations, or add in some lighthearted teasing. He's affable. Cove on the cold side tends to say things more briefly, especially with those he isn't close with, be needier and more serious. He's quiet. It's possible to have him fall somewhere in between rather than only being at one extreme end or the other. No matter what, Cove is an introvert who is sentimental and tends to get flustered when it comes to romance. His interests fall along a sporty, mixed, studious spectrum. It works similarly to the personality one. When he's young, Cove has a variety of interests. As time goes on, that can stay the same. Begin to focus on more athletic outdoorsy activities, or become more interested in academic indoorsy ways to spend time. It's something of a mystery exactly how your decisions end up changing him. You can try to guess as you go along. Or if you prefer, you can also just design your own ideal Cove directly using the Cove Creator option that pops up at the beginning of steps 2 and 3. Making the choices you want is always more important than making a choice because you feel like you have to in order to get a certain result. When a choice does appear, usually you'll see that hovering the cursor over the option shows a certain color, yellow, blue, or green. The colors aren't related to specific points or effects. They're only there to give a bit of insight on the tone, emotion of the choice, since text alone can potentially read in more than one way. Blue tends to be casual, straightforward, yellow more emotive, reactive, and green less certain, uncommitted. Okay, so that's important. Though there are hundreds of options in our life and not every choice menu falls in line with that pattern. Picking just one color every time doesn't give a gameplay benefit. Only stick to a certain type if that's what you happen to like, otherwise switch between them freely. Always pick yellow, never pick yellow, pursue romance right from the start, never romance the love interest, be disagreeable or admirable. None of them will lead to a bad ending. You're welcome to enjoy the events and shape the story without reservation. And then, if you like, you can play again and try something new. There's only ever more good content to discover. We hope you'll have a nice time with Our Life. Thank you for playing. I fucking love them. I'm so hype. Okay, let's hop in here real quick. It's so cute. Hold on, water break. Would you like gameplay explanation sections to appear? Is that what I just read? I don't know if that's what I just read or not. Sure. Yeah, it is. Yes? Wait, maybe it is. I don't know. Hold on. We're gonna read this just in case. Welcome to Our Life Beginnings Always. There are various ways you can customize and interact with the game. This tutorial is an overview of how certain features work. You can read the full tutorial in the main. Yes, this. Okay, we did this. Oh, okay. Fast forward, we're here. As I pointed out, I am going to make this character like me. So I have brown eyes. I'm kind of pale. I fall somewhere in the middle. I guess we'll go peachy. Yeah, peachy seems good. I don't know how I would describe my face. Maybe round. Maybe round. What are my eyes like? Oval. Pointed. I think those eyes are fine. I know I have like a buzzed head going on right now, but I think I want to go with like my ideal hair. Like I miss being fluffy, so at least my character can have my fluff. Not eye cover. Sideburns. There's so many hairs, holy crap. I forgot just how many hairs there are. That one! I'm scrappy too, buddies. And I miss my blue, if I'm being so honest. Yeah, that's what I want. And then I know we don't really have anything on the back, but we'll still do blue just in case. And then for the name, I am late. Oh. And then for the last name, I know my last name's like out there everywhere. We're gonna leave it as Blake last for the How personal do I want to get? Because this is also going on YouTube when I'm done. You know what? If y'all want to fucking find me, you're gonna fucking find me. How about we do a compromise? I'll be Blake T. No. Fuck it. We're going. Blake Thrasher. Fuck it. I'm out there. It's known. Y'all can fucking fight me, I guess, if you want. Or hopefully you'll be chill. Oh, so many voiced names. I just want to look. Like, I'm not even going to use any, because I don't think Blake is in here, but look at how many people supported this game. That's so cool. That's also such a great way to, like, thank the people that supported by putting their names in like this. That's so fucking cute. Okay. Face shape round, skin peachy, eyes round, eyes brown, scrappy 2, blue, age, I got small hands, and I sometimes wear glasses, but I don't think we need them here. I don't have any scars or whatnot. We'll do pants and shirts, because that's who I am. And it's already selected on the day. Sometimes I like a hat. Sometimes I like a bracelet. I don't know how I feel about watches. You know what? Let's just give me all the accessory options, I guess. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Beautiful. Look at my little bean. It's me. I was destined to be an MC in a visual novel and not a real person, I'm convinced. Okie dokie, and we are done. Oh. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Your usually sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination, with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with both. The smell of the ocean, crisp and salty, hung in the air, bringing 3 whole months of schoolless vacation with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like you to wander too far outside of your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when passing their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or more often just said hello. See, as a kid, when I was little, I didn't have my social anxiety. I didn't really get why they always... Yeah, I'm gonna go with you didn't really get why they always had to say hi. They saw you every day, but you nodded back at them anyway. It was the polite thing to do after all, and your moms had taught you to always be respectful. Aw, so fucking cute. But today there was a man sitting on the curb outside your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever or whatever he was, you had never seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really, really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your moms called it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your moms had a talk with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. You remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite to them. Absolutely. Stranger fucking danger. Buddies, I need water. I'm so sorry. There's a hair, like, in my mouth. I don't know if y'all ever get, like, a hair, like, on your uvula. I have 3 animals, and I'm constantly breathing in their hair. So I needed a second, sorry. But yeah, no. The stranger danger, run away. You weren't sure about this man yet. You know what? Hold on. Little Blake, being a stranger, yeah, I would have been nervous. I've been like, you're in front of my door. I need to walk by you to get in. Don't kidnap me. Yeah. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing that he was blocking the way to your front door. You slowed down, your mind racing for ideas on how to get past him unseen, but it was too late to escape. There was a split second where your eyes met and you took in a shaky breath, your eyes darting to the sky, pretending to stare at a bird who was hovering nearby. Hey! His voice startled you and made you jump, but you still didn't look at him. The bird landed on top of a nearby gatepost, and its black feathers ruffled against the gentle breeze. Trying to keep your eyes on it was tough, especially when the man stood up and started to make his way toward you. Please no. Not wanting to seem too approachable, you folded your arms and stared. Yeah, that was such a me thing, for real. Don't let him know your next move. So, do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tanned skin and relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo, and you wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. I mean, the stingray tattoo is pretty fucking cool. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. Yeah, I live here. That's great. He looked happy to hear it, giving you a broad smile. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Well, could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, let me start over. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. Oh no. I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age. No, he's definitely obsessed with water. The name Cove is cool, I'm gonna be so honest. Like, he might have a water obsession, but who am I to fucking judge? Yeah, you thought that was pretty cool. You've never met anyone with that name. We moved in across the street, see? He gestured towards the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Blake Thrasher, right? I met your moms earlier and they told me you were 8, just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill to bring it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips at the corners. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Just give it a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid, you'll like him.
Do you mind?
But you've gotta keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. That's not... Yeah, I feel like I am, because the fuck are you talking about paying me to be friends with your kid? What could be so bad about this Cove kid that his dad would need to bribe strangers to be friends with him? What do you say? Want to make a deal? No, you didn't want the money. No, thank you. No, thank you. Sorry. He deflated enough to notice, but not completely.
Are you sure?
Are you sure it won't be so bad? Even if it's just for the summer, that'd be enough. That only made this sound more strange to you. Why does it lasting for the summer matter? When it was clear his initial strategy wasn't going to fly, he tucked the bill into a back pocket and changed the request. I get it, you don't have to. Would you be comfortable with he and I coming by for a normal visit, no money involved? You'd have to ask my moms. I'm literally 8 years old. I'm a baby. I don't make those choices. Yeah, you have to ask my moms. His smile got bigger again. His eyes crinkled at the sides. Of course, they invited us over earlier, but I'd like to ask you too. Aw, okay, that's kind of sweet. He wants input. Then I guess you can. I'll bring him by tomorrow. I wanted him to meet and greet with the neighbors today, but... well, I don't know where he's gotten off to. I'm sorry, you just moved here and you don't know where your 8-year-old boy is? Okay, dude, I'm trying not to judge you, but you're not giving me a lot to work with. We started with stranger danger and bribery and a bunch of weird shit, and now you're telling me you don't know where your 8-year-old is. Not gonna lie, I'm kinda judging. He laughed when he said that, but with the way his face looked, you thought he actually wanted to cry. Oh. Okay, that's sad. If you see him, can you tell him to come on home? He's got a pink cast and glasses. You can't miss it. Sure thing. Yeah, 8-year-olds shouldn't be wandering, like, alone. This definitely wasn't the normal way kids made friends, you knew that, but you were still going to help. The man smiled and reached out to pat you on the head, paused before doing so, then pulled his hand away instead. Your moms are already checking around for me. Such a thoughtful group you are. Now I better go look too. Can't put everyone else to work while I keep sitting here. I thought he might come back and... that's not what's important. I have to go. Thanks again, Blake, so much. Yeah, no problem. Good luck. He jogged off down the street without another word. You decided to check the hills behind your house. Step 1, first sight. Let's go. I need water again. I'm sorry. I'm doing a lot of reading. A lot of talking. Dry mouth. The chirping of crickets in the tall grass greeted you, quiet and familiar. From the top of the hill you could see the ocean. As you walked, you listened to the crash of the waves on the shore and the seagulls squawking as they settled down for the night. I like the ocean. You've always loved the ocean. It was so much fun. Sometimes Lizzie would join you, the two of you splashing each other in the waves. Those were the best days. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you that you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden with the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a little bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have... deer don't have green hair. Let's go with that. but this new boy did. He watched as it fluttered softly around his face in the breeze. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another, and then he glanced your way. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. Hi. With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He'd been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheeks and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts, and his eyes were still shining with a few more. You'd obviously caught him off guard. His pink cast seemed to glow in the twilight, though when he caught you staring at it, he hid his arm behind his back. Something the man earlier had said stuck out to you. Cove? Ah. Eyes wide, he studied you. How'd you know that? I met your dad.
Oh.
Not the oh, don't be so sad, it's gonna be okay. So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. Well, it's not. So it's the hill behind my house, so like, kind of, but no. Nah, just shake your head. While doing so, you also picked at a strand of lint on your leg. What a weird question to ask someone. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious about the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered this hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? Why is he here, like, on the hill, or why is he here in the neighborhood? Because we already know that he moved. Why'd your family move? Might be a better question, but also he might not want to talk about why he moved. We'll go with why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as soon as you asked the question. Uh-oh, did I fuck up? I'm sorry, don't be sad. I only had questions. Almost like they'd never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents. They don't want to live together with me anymore. The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave and he took me with him, and now we have a house here and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. Oh. I'm sorry. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. You felt bad for him being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Blake!
Cove?
Cove? Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell them we're here.
I want to go home.
Oh, I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. You can handle it. You've got this, buddy. It'll be fine. You can handle it, and even if you can't, he's your dad, right? Yeah, he is. Dusting the grass off of your pants, you stood up. So you didn't come here by yourself or with a stranger. He's got to take care of you no matter what. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, still looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked toward the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not-bandaged arm. Sorry, I still don't want to go. We could try and convince him. I don't want to just call out. That feels like an asshole thing, but I can't just, wait with him forever. Yeah, you tried to convince him. Are you sure? You'd have to stay outside the whole night and sleep on wet grass. Before Cove could say anything else, you heard his dad's voice again, even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. Blake, you're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove and then heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. No, we were just sitting in the grass. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? Cove was crying a lot. I don't know if I'd define that as fun. Personally, you looked over at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug and pushing at his arms. Yeah, I got a shrug for this one. He's new here. It was okay. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you.
That's a relief.
Thanks very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Blake knows this whole area so well. Absolutely. We should be getting home now. It's been a long day for all of us. Say goodbye, Cove.
Bye.
The little bye. It's so cute. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading toward the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. Tell you what, we'll have a proper playdate tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? It sounds like words, if we're being so honest. It sounds like words. Both of your moms laughed, the sounds overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arm around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied and more than a little ready to go to bed after your long, exciting day, you followed them home. Choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove for this step. It can change in later steps. Okie dokie. So I'm not gonna go indifferent. I'm gonna go fond. Aw, the little smile. Wait, that's so cute. Okay, yeah, fond. And then comfort, I would say, because this is supposed to be like me. I'd like to think I'm a fairly relaxed person. Hold on, what do the eyebrows do if I... I love the little details. Yeah. Comfort, relaxed, interest, fond. Sounds good to me, buddies. Another sip of water. Ah. Good morning. And we are relaxed, fond. We are ready to go, buddies. Begin step 1 at relaxed fondness. You won't be able to change it again until step 2. Yes. Oh. Oh my goodness, the house is pretty. I like that plant. I like that plant. I like that little step thing over there. That's a cute table. It's a fucking nice house. Shit, can I live in this game just for the house? At the breakfast table the next morning, you finished your food faster than usual. Your sister Lizzie had run out earlier to go play, but you'd stayed put. Today, just like your moms had promised, Cove was coming over to hang out. Excited to see your new friend again, Blake? Yeah, I am.
How sweet.
Oh, how sweet. I'm so happy he moved in.
Okay.
With that said, are you done with your breakfast? Yeah. With all the exasperation an 8-year-old can muster, you looked at your empty cereal bowl, then at Mom.
Okay.
Okay, attitude kid. We'll see. We see. Good job. He should be here soon. Cleanup began, and then on cue, there was a knock. It was hesitant, like the person wasn't sure they were in the right place. Still loud, though. We need to get a more obvious doorbell. I know. Blake, could you get it? Wiggling out of your chair without really pushing it back, you made your way to the door. Ah. Hey, Thrasher family, thanks for having us. Mr. Holden, as your moms have called him, and his son were here. Cove looked different in the bright lighting of your living room, and when he wasn't crying. With his dad standing in front of him, and Mom and Mommy behind you, you and Cove looked at each other. Pleased to see your new friend again, you smiled at Cove. He smiled back with some hesitation. Okay. Cute. You know what? We like the ocean. I could see out of all of these, probably not the flower one. Crystal's kind of cool. I'm gonna go with the shell one though. You twisted the shell bracelet on your wrist. Let's go play in my room.
Okay.
The little soft bean.
Take care.
Let us know if you need anything, you two. Have fun, kids.
See you.
See you later, son. Play nice. Why is Mr. Holden always winking? I feel like dude's winking about everything. You led him to your room, puffing out your chest a little bit at the sight of your treasures. There were lots of stuffed animals, a cool bed, a window to look out. It was a great room. You hadn't had anyone to show it to in a while, but you were really proud of it. He leaned in a little closer to one of your drawings on the wall. I like this. Let's see, someone says they like something of mine. I usually say thank you. You're welcome. You smiled at him. You were proud of that particular piece of art, and you were glad he noticed it. He turned to look around the room a little more, studying the books on your desk and the pictures on the walls. You were glad for the company. It's nice to make a new friend. It was nice to have someone new to play with. Then his eyes landed on the tiny box of beach things you'd collected, tucked away by your door. He took a step towards it before hesitating and pointing at it instead. What's that? A hoard of stuff I found on the beach.
Oh.
Do you have any driftwood in there? Dragging the box into the middle of the room, you and Cove flopped down next to it. I think so. Yeah, see? You gestured to a piece at the bottom, still covered with specks of sand.
Neat.
Neat, this is a good collection. You got the sense from the tone of his voice that he wasn't just saying it to be nice, or to be like Shiloh. He actually meant it. Oh, right, I almost forgot. Shiloh's gonna be here today. Shiloh? Lizzie's friend. Or like, her #1 fan, I guess? Do I have to see him? It should be okay. I mean, he's Lizzie's friend, not mine, but you know. Come on, check out my shell some more. I found this one under a big piece of seaweed that had washed ashore, and you pulled out seashell after seashell, explaining where you'd gotten each one and holding them up against the light. There were big ones, small ones, pink, purple, and orange. Most of them you washed off in the bathroom sink when you brought them home, cleaning off the sand. The collection was so huge and varied that you had lots of funny stories to tell for all of them. Yeah, I think I'd be a funny story kid, not like the scientific names. I wouldn't be like nervous. I feel like if I had like a collection to show off, I'd be like, oh my god, listen how I got this one. Apparently fascinated either by the stories or by the shells themselves, Cove listened with what looked like the full force of his attention. Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean. Like when you almost got pinched by a hermit crab while searching for shells, and after watching him scuttle back into the ocean, you found another empty shell that was almost a twin to his home. It was a new experience to be the center of such dedicated focus. But Cove hadn't been mean to you, so you didn't mind. You smiled at him every now and then while showing him your collection. Kids, come down to the living room. You could tell the idea was making him unhappy, but Mommy wasn't giving you much of a chance to hang around. Cove hadn't been like this meeting you. You guessed it was because he thinks you found each other by accident, not that a parent made it happen. Mr. Holden must be right that telling Cove his dad was part of that would be a bad idea. Before you knew it, you'd both been escorted downstairs and deposited, in the living room, ready for Shiloh's visit. The two of you sat side by side on the floor of your home's entryway. I brought the box of shells. I want to keep looking at them. I mean, ideally, he probably should have asked. I'll go with okay, but be careful. I will. You weren't sure if you could trust someone else with your treasures yet, so you stayed next to him while he opened the lid and peered inside. Cove reached in and pulled out a big orange shell. Oh. Like he hadn't spoken out loud yet, he turned to you and held it up, his eyes shining. I think this one is the best of them. I mean, you can take it. If it's your favorite, you can have it. Cove looked at you in surprise, his eyes going wide. Really? Sure, you like it a lot, right? But I don't want to take it from you. It's okay. You got the impression he was hesitant to accept something because he didn't know you very well. I feel like he won't respond well if I try and insist. I feel like if I dig my heels in, he's gonna dig his in, and then it'll just be fucking awkward. Okay, I'll let it go. Okay. You didn't want to pressure Cove too much. It was supposed to make him happy, not nervous. Exactly. Plus, Cove was your neighbor now. Maybe you could give it to him another time. The two of you were still sitting on the floor looking through your collection of beach findings when the doorbell finally rang. Cove jumped, startled by the sound. Since the person hadn't knocked, you figured it was probably Shiloh. He knew where to look for that. How hidden is your doorbell? Hold on, because one of your moms earlier said you needed a more obvious doorbell. Is it, like, camouflaged? I feel like doorbells are usually fairly obvious, so why is your doorbell playing hide and seek with people? Lizzie's friend? You nodded, but that didn't seem to make Cove feel better. It was already obvious that Cove didn't hide his feelings well. You could tell what he was thinking right away. This isn't a good idea. You'll be alright. He's here. We can't tell him to leave. He's at our only door, and if you go upstairs, he'll find you. Cove glanced around the room, his eyes wide, and finally paused with his gaze locked on to the back of the house. I can go out the window. He was already walking towards it. Scrambling to think of something to say, you stepped forward, then paused. Well, no, we shouldn't go, so none of those. Is he worried he's not gonna like him? I don't know what his... I mean, yeah, going out the window, not a good idea. Do you want to break your other arm? Even I don't jump out of any windows here, and this is my house. The distance from the first floor living room window wasn't far, but you could tell it made Cove nervous anyway. He touched the cast on his arm. The wind had clearly released from his sails. I don't want to break any more bones. I don't think anyone wants to. Yeah. But I don't want to see him. I don't know him. I mean, I get not wanting to meet new people. Meeting new people, especially when you're a kid, can suck. Could comfort or could encourage. You know what? Let's encourage him. He's gonna be. He's a little nervous, but it'll be fine. Hey, if you do have a hard time with him, I'll tell him to leave. Is that okay? Okay. Not the mad pointed down eyebrows. Cove is not having a good time. Shiloh poked his head into the living room. It was impossible to know for sure if he'd heard what you'd been saying or not, but you guessed that he had.
Hi.
Hi, Blake. And hi, Cove? Cove shot you an uneasy glance. This can be fine, dude.
Hi.
Not the little reluctant hi, it's so sweet. I'm Shiloh, it's nice to meet you. Yeah. Cove looks so fucking bored, he's so over it, and Shiloh's just over here being a little ray of sunshine, being like, hi, nice to meet you, and Cove's like, I don't want this. Stop it, make it stop. You have a lot of freckles. I mean, you're not wrong. Kind of an odd observation to make, but it's not an incorrect statement. Right, I do. What are you guys doing? We're looking at shells.
Can I do it too?
Oh, awesome, can I do it too? Cove shrugged, then looked back at your box of beach findings. What about that one? The plan for the afternoon, at least as far as you were concerned, was to sit and look at the beach thing some more. You weren't really in the mood to do much of anything else, especially if Cove was having fun. Hey, check out this scallop shell I found. Cool, right? It's a pretty color, kind of like my cast. The beautiful glittering pink did look a little bit like the wrap around his arm. Pink is a nice color. Okay.
Oh?
Is it your favorite? Not really. What is? Maybe green or blue. It might be yellow. Oh, those are all cool.
I guess.
Not the I guess. Come on, Cove. Work with Shiloh a little bit here. He's trying. I like those colors too. I mean, not so much yellow, but the rest of them.
Awesome.
The little awesome. It's so sweet. Both of them smiled. Oh, look at this happy little picture right here. I love that for them. Like usual, it didn't take long for Shiloh to get fidgety. Lizzie was his favorite. Without her around, Shiloh didn't seem to know what to do with himself. And Cove wasn't like your sister. He wasn't that much like you either. Is Lizzie coming back? Don't know.
Aw.
The little aw stopped my heart. Where'd she go? I think she's at the beach, probably. Is she playing at her park? Cove's eyes lit up at the mention of the park, and he looked towards you. There's a park? Yep, but it's old. Can you show me? I want to go. He started getting up before you had even answered, and Shiloh jumped up beside him in excitement. Really? You do too, right, Blake? The park is fun. As a kid, I loved the park. The park was a vibe. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's right at the beach, so there's lots of fun stuff to do, and lots of sand. It has a jungle gym and a bunch of swings. That sounds like it could be cool. So, are we going to find Lizzie? I don't know. I never really wanted to see her. I just want to check the park out. Adrift without any direction, Shiloh finally turned to you. Okay, guess we're going to the park, buddies. He perked up. Both boys wanted to go. It was only fair. After getting permission from your moms, the three of you were ready to head out. It was a short walk to the park. Lizzie had convinced your moms that it was so short she should always be allowed to walk there by herself. When you found her, she was hanging on the jungle gym, swinging back and forth. Hey, Lizzie. Her face lit up when she saw you, her big brown eyes going wide. Blake, Shiloh. Hi. She dropped to the ground and landed with a soft thud in the sand. In a split second, Shiloh had abandoned you two and scrambled over to stand by her. You were used to being left out when it was just the three of you, but now Cove was here. You wondered if he would leave too. Who's that? It's Cove. He's new.
Hi.
I remember. Hi, Cove. Welcome to my park. Nobody ever comes to play here, so this is where we get together. She gestured widely with her arms as if to present the area to the newcomer. While Lizzie continued talking, you took the chance to kick off your shoes and wriggle your toes through the warm sand. Nice, huh? In this neighborhood, I'm the one who comes up with the ideas. You are?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I am. Who else could handle the job? Lizzie is the oldest. By a lot. My mom said you're Blake's age. Yeah. Thought so. I'm still the only one in this group with double digits. What about other kids? Other kids? There aren't any. We're the only kids here, and Shiloh's just visiting from another place. Not even tourists really bring their kids here. This is the land of ancients. Be careful that the oldies don't try to steal your youth. What are you talking about, Lizzie? What is this?
Oh.
Not the sad little, oh, Cove, it's gonna be okay. For a second, it looked like he might cry again. But something in his eyes shifted and he looked back at Lizzie. What kind of old people? Like moms and dads or grandparents? Grandparents who don't have kids, they hate kids. Why? We haven't done anything. Only some of them don't like kids. You interjected quickly, hoping Lizzie wouldn't take things too far. Cove sniffled, his forehead creasing with worry. Lizzie was staring Cove down, but Cove wasn't even looking at her anymore. He didn't seem to care that she was there. He went into his own head. Shiloh was the next one to speak, completely unaware of the situation. I met Lizzie and Blake in school. You'll see tons of kids there once summer is over. I don't want to go to a new school. I don't want summer to end. Shiloh looked down to the dirt. He hadn't had much luck striking up conversations with Cove. For real though, Shiloh's out here trying his best, and Cove's just ignoring all of them. Also, what's going on with Lizzie's face? Why does she look so shook? She looks shook. Shiloh looks fairly happy, and again, Cove just looks fucking over it. Poor baby Cove. I like summer vacation a lot too. All the building tension in the air suddenly vanished when Lizzie laughed. At Shiloh's discomfort, at how weird she thought Cove was, at something else entirely you didn't really know, but she laughed, face scrunching up.
Okay.
Welcome to Sunset Bird Cove. Take a seat, put up your feet, and get used to it. You offered him a small smile, and that, at least, looked to reassure him some. For the rest of the summer, Cove was always there. You saw him more often than Shiloh, and on some days when she was in a bad mood or busy, you saw him more than Liz. You even saw him more than Lizzie. He became a staple of your everyday life, the way sun and lunch and the beach were. During your first summer together, you really liked Cove. He was a fun person to play with, and he seemed to like playing with you too. Of course, that was only the start of things. Aw, they're so cute. I absolutely adore these two. I can't. Okay, how do we want to tackle these moments? We could just go from like left to right and then top to bottom. So we go this way and then this row. That might be the best way to do things. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Excuse me for a moment while I drink some water real fast. I also have no clue how long this is going to take us. Like, I don't know how long. I know some moments are longer than others, so I have no fucking clue how long we're going to be playing this one. But it's okay. We will figure it out. It'll be a vibe. We'll be chilling. Okay, first up, shopping. Come back before it gets dark. All right, sport? The familiar voice drifted across the street and drew your attention away from the snail you'd been watching inch slowly across the pavement. Cove waited in front of his dad, pushing his green hair back off his face from where the breeze was blowing it over his glasses. He looked to be paying only a mild amount of attention as he was being handed a few slips of green paper. It reminded you of when you first met Mr. Holden, although he's probably not paying Cove to be friends with himself. Cove's dad seemed to feel your gaze somehow, or maybe you made a noise, because a second later his eyes were on you. He waved you over with a smile. He looked happy to see you, but you still felt a little weird for getting caught. You've got to learn how to be more sneaky. Excuse me. You brushed your hands together to free them of sand, then jogged over to join the two, smiling at Cove first, then his dad. Blake, hi.
How's it going?
Good to see you again. What excitement are you up to today, Blake? Taking a walk. I found a pretty cool snail across the road. There's lots of snails around here. Y'all, I will be back in just a minute. Hello, I am back. Sorry, I had some real life stuff going on. But let's get back into it. Mr. Holden grinned at you kindly. After you finished answering the question, Mr. Holden's attention returned to Cove, who was preoccupied with folding the bills he had into a tiny rectangle. Sounds fun. You know, Cove was about to hit the stores by the beach. Why don't you go with him? You gave a ready nod, turning to squint in the direction of the stores like you could see the goods they had to offer all the way from where you stood. Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. Great, I'm sure you guys will have loads of fun. Mr. Holden reached into his pocket and pulled out a leather wallet filled with money. You found it odd since your mom's only ever seemed to have cards in theirs. Here. He leaned in to pass a crisp 10 to Cove, giving him a wink and a whisper. Get something for your friend, too. Sure.
Good kid.
That's my boy. Cove's dad ruffled his son's hair as he was straightening back up, the bill in his hand still held out towards the green-haired boy. Take care. Cove accepted the bill after a second and slipped it into his pocket. Then, with one last nod to his dad, he turned and started walking. You followed after him, intrigued at the possibilities this outing might bring. Cove strayed towards the gentle tide creeping up the sand, and you fell into place beside him. It was a nice day. The sun was shining, and there weren't many clouds in the sky. The wind coming off the ocean kept it from being too hot. You took in a deep breath, enjoying the scent of salt and ocean air. When you looked at Cove, he was dragging his feet through the sand a little, and you slowed down to wait for him. His eyes searched the ground intently. Are you looking for snails? Are you looking for shells? What is it? Nah, sometimes you're just looking to look. It's not you're necessarily looking for something or that something's wrong. Yeah, you didn't feel the need to ask why. Searching the sand in front of you as you walked, you kept an eye out for any cool shells you might find that you could add to your collection. The comforting sound of the waves filled the silence with pleasant white noise, and you played a little game with yourself as you walked along, getting as close to the water as possible without getting wet. It resulted in you having to run up the sand quickly when a wave rushed in more than a few times, and although Cove threw a few glances your way, he didn't say a word. Conversation? You didn't either? I mean, sometimes silence is fine. Cove is an odd duck for the simple fact I can't tell if he actually, wants to talk about things, or if he wants to be left alone, or if I should have him start the conversation. I can't get a good read on Cove. Excuse me. I don't know. I guess you didn't either. Goodness gracious. There we go. Yeah, you didn't either, I guess. He seemed altogether too invested in the floor to pay attention. You decided to watch the waves as they inched closer and closer to your feet instead. Oh. Abruptly, Cove stopped, then moved briskly ahead a few steps. What is it? Without a word, he bent down, picking something up half buried in the sand. You hurried nearer, curiously glancing over his shoulder. It was a shell, lightly pink at the bottom and bleached white at the top. Wow, so you found what you were looking for? Cove got back up, turning his find over in his hands before unbuttoning one of the many pockets on his pants and sliding it inside. I pick up anything that's kind of cool. This is what I got this time.
So,
What about you? What do you do out here? Like building sandcastles, swimming, looking at fish. I loved building sandcastles. I wasn't like good at it, but sand was fun. Last summer, Lizzie and I built one that was as tall as me, and sometimes they have sandcastle building competitions down by the boardwalk. Cool, I bet you could win. You smiled at Cove. Maybe the two of you would build one together one day. Once you reached the shopping area, the noise level grew exponentially. No longer just waves and footsteps, but the chatter of people enjoying the lovely summer day, the call of birds trying to find bits of food left behind, and lots of salespeople trying to get attention. You sniffed the air as you walked beside Cove. You could still smell the ocean, but there were other scents now too. Pizza, pretzels, hot donuts. It was nice. Yeah, I think as a kid I would have enjoyed that stuff. Like, that environment wouldn't have stressed me out. The energy surrounding the area seemed to fill you, and there was a bounce in your step as you began looking at all the familiar sights. There were so many things to do, you didn't know where to begin. You looked at Cove, hoping he was just as excited as you were. Cove was glancing from one side of the street to the other with a look in his aquamarine eyes that you couldn't quite work out. What's that? Cove pointed to a large crowd of people gathered near a few tables with large, colorful umbrellas blooming from their middles. You couldn't see past the adults who were blocking the way, but you knew there must be something worth seeing. Without another word, the two of you hurried over to see what all the commotion was about. Feast your eyes on the amazing Alexander. In the center of the crowd was a man with a tall hat and a funny green coat that had 3 long tails. There was a little table next to him with a cloth hanging over it that read The Amazing Alexander in glittery golden script. Why tell people his name if it's already on a sign? Cove hummed with understanding, then turned to walk away just as the Amazing Alexander began shuffling a deck of cards. Maybe we could stay and watch? Cove glanced back at the man. Then he briefly lifted his arms up off his sides before returning them to place. You grinned, waving for him to follow you as he raced back to stand in the crowd. With that, it began. The magic man pulled one card out of the deck, showing it to the curious onlookers. It was a 4 of diamonds. Watch closely. You did, squeezing through a few of the adult onlookers to get a better view. Suddenly, the man snapped his fingers, and the card just disappeared. Wow. Cove is not impressed with the Amazing Alexander. Oof. The Amazing Alexander, who had earned his title, turned his head and looked directly at you. He reached out with a kind smile. What's this behind your ear? Nothing. It was true. We didn't keep anything there. He smelled like popcorn and candy when he stepped closer, and you wrinkled your nose in confusion as you watched him. You felt a tug, and then he pulled the 4 of diamonds out from behind your ear. What? You knew that it couldn't really have come from your ear, but you still didn't get how he'd done it. There was light applause from the crowd, and the man gave a deep bow. This is for you. The magician plucked a pair of balloons from a clump of them tied down to his table. Both were in the shape of a dolphin instead of being a normal circle. And one for your friend too. Thank you for being my assistant. Wow. Now you were really grateful he chose you. After that, he went to someone else in the crowd. Pick a card, any card. My uncle does that every time he visits. Not the balloons, the stuff with the cards. Cove spoke plainly while reaching over to take the dolphin that had been designated for him. He wondered if Cove's whole family was magic. Yeah, that one. If so, he was lucky. The crowd started to clear some, and you noticed to the side there was a whole rack of brightly colored kaleidoscopes on display. Pick up a kaleidoscope. Why not? Those things are cool. Ooh, these are cool. Exactly what I'm saying. You shifted your balloon string to your other hand so you could bring the mysterious tunnel to your eye. A whole palette of colors appeared right in front of you, spinning into all kinds of different shapes as you twisted the end of the tube. Cove picked one up and looked through, twisting the tube at the end. After a second, he set it back on the rack, moving to the other side of the stall. He went under the awning, careful of his own floating dolphin, and you joined him. Did you have places like this in your old town? Cove blinked at you for a moment, and you wondered if you shouldn't have asked. You knew how much he missed that place. Not really. You nodded in understanding, looking over at the stalls nearby. Ooh, cute! While Cove looked at sand pails, you were drawn to a table with colorful keychains laid out on it. They were sewn in the shape of sea creatures, and there was a plaque that read "Handmade" standing proudly in front. There were lots of different types. You saw a dolphin, a shark, a crab, a turtle. I'm torn between the dolphin and the turtle, because turtles are pretty fucking cool. But I also like dolphins. Go with the dolphin. Your hand stopped on the dolphin, so similar to your balloon animal. It was made of a bright material that caught the sunlight when you picked it up. You remembered once seeing a pod of dolphins swimming out in the distance at the beach, jumping out of the water and splashing as they dived back in again. That was a great day. You were instantly enamored. Checking the price though, your heart fell. $6. You didn't know much about money, but you thought that was a lot to spend on one thing. You rarely had more than a $5 bill to your name. Is that what you want? Huh? Oh. It's $6. I didn't bring any money.
Alright.
It's fine. You don't have to. Cove didn't mind that. He took the keychain from your hands, and that was that. He was holding a small yellow bucket for himself, too. I was always gonna get you something. I already got the money for it. You smiled, pleased to have things work out. It was nice of Cove's dad to let Cove buy something for you, too. You had to remember to thank him the next time you saw him. After Cove paid, the two of you stepped out of the store side by side, your balloon dolphins knocking together and spiraling around in the air. You watched Cove hold up his new pail to his face, examining it thoroughly. Hey, Cove. Yeah? I really like this keychain. Thank you. It's nice. Cove looked further down the street where different food carts were lined up. He rested his non-cast arm over his stomach, and just as he did, yours let out a light growl. You hadn't eaten since breakfast, and after all this wandering around, you were definitely ready for some lunch. Let's get some food. Hell yeah, foodie peeps! Yeah. You two wandered around a short while, looking at all the delicacies that were available. Everything looked delicious, and as the different smells, both sweet and salty, wafted over to you, your stomach growled even louder. After passing up hot dogs, snow cones, ice cream, and pizza, you both agreed on pretzels. Pretzels are so good. Cove got something sweet and cinnamony, and you... Oh, absolutely one with cheese. Pretzels with cheese hit different. You licked your lips hungrily as the vendor handed your pretzel over, ready to take a big bite. It was covered in gooey melted cheese just the way you liked it. It seemed odd to get a dessert pretzel before eating normal food. You found an empty table close enough to the beach that the grit of the sand made terrible noises when you dragged the chairs to sit down. These balloons are gonna make it hard to eat. Cove placed his bucket on the table as he stared at his still balled up hand that was wrapped around the string. You opened your mouth to agree before an idea hit you. I know. After carefully placing your pretzel somewhere it wouldn't get sandy, you tugged the balloon dolphin out of Cove's hand and tied it in a delicate bow around his wrist.
Oh.
Oh is a fair reaction. Not my character having an idea, hell yeah. Cove bounced his arm up and down in place, testing the stability of your knot. After watching his balloon jostle around but remain attached, he smiled satisfied. Can you do it for me? He repeated the ritual. Cove struggled somewhat with the cast restricting his fingers on one hand and a string already tangled around the other.
Okay.
Got it. The two of you spent a moment admiring your handiwork before both hands now free to allow easy munching on your pretzels. You bit into the doughy treat, savoring the taste on your tongue with a smile as you looked out over the ocean. After a time, you finished your pretzel. You were done before Cove. It was boring not having anything to do. You pulled on the string of your balloon to bring it down to your level. Then you held the dolphin in your hands, manipulating it to look like it was jumping through the air. If you turned to face towards the beach, it almost looked like it was swimming in the waves like a real dolphin. A laugh came from your side. When you glanced back at Cove, he had left the remaining part of his pretzel on the wrapper, and he was gripping his dolphin too. Splash, Merryweather, Cherry, Sam. I like Splash. Mine's name is Splash. They star in movies. Their trainers use fish and treats to help them perform tricks. They're the most famous dolphin in the world. You sighed, wishing you could star in a movie with a real-life dolphin. What's yours? Cove considered this question, placing the balloon against the table and resting his free arm across it in contemplation. With a loud pop, the dolphin exploded into ribbons. Oh no. That's not good. Oh no. For a second, all Cove did was gape in shock like you. Then his cheeks puffed up, squinting his eyes, and you saw tears start to glisten. Blake, we could... I don't feel like dude would find a joke funny right now. I feel like he'd be sad. You offered to find Alexander. We'll get you a new balloon. It'll be fine. Maybe the amazing Alexander is still there. I'm sure he'll give you another one if we tell him what happened. After a long second, Cove gave a tiny nod of his head. Take his hand. You took his hand. You took hold of Cove's hand. He brought his gaze back down and gripped yours in turn. The two of you wandered up and down the street, but you saw no sign of the amazing Alexander. Finally, you were forced to give up. Still, it seemed to lift Cove's spirits, and that was good. The passing of Cove's balloon was the last major event of your adventure. In the end, the two of you headed back late that afternoon. You separated on the beach, and while Cove went straight home with his brand new sand pail in hand, you decided to sit for a while. You watched the waves and the sunset, fiddling with your new keychain. Another summer day was drawing to a close. It had been a good one, except for the sad final note. Okay, cute. I fucking love it. 10 out of 10. Okay, time for a grown up. Hold on, water break. Water, I need water. One sweltering summer day, you were in your living room with Cove, listening to the sounds of the birds chattering outside the window while you lay across the rug on the floor. Cove's dad had dropped him off earlier, and your moms had left the two of you, along with Lizzie, to play amongst yourselves. It had been too hot to go outside in the afternoon, at least according to Mommy, so your sister was starting to get impatient waiting for her golf class that evening. The three of you had trouble finding something fun to do. The beach and the playground were off limits, and you felt that it was too warm for anything like playing with your fuzzy toy animals. Then suddenly, a light came to Lizzie's big brown eyes, and her smile spread wide across her face. Having an idea gave her a new wave of energy. Since we're stuck inside, we should be adults. They don't play outdoors anyways. They're always inside and telling everybody they're too busy to play.
Why?
I agree. I mean, adults are lame sometimes, but yeah, good question, Cove. Why?
Duh.
I said why, and it'll be fun. Duh. What do they do inside that we don't, besides use the phone a lot? Excluding a small huff, Lizzie decides to ignore Cove.
What do you think?
Blake, what do you think? Do you want to? I mean, that doesn't sound ideal. Yeah, I'm sorry, Lizzie. I'm gonna go with Cove. Cove said it. That doesn't sound fun. Come on. Neither of you had one single idea all day. You could tell that Lizzie wasn't about to give in anytime soon. Fine. With her victory against Cove under her belt, Lizzie turned to you triumphant. I'll try it, but that sounds boring. It's not gonna be, I guarantee. Lizzie seemed more determined than ever, and you could only sigh. Satisfied that neither of you were about to bail on her, Lizzie thought over her options while you watched. After a few seconds, she clapped her hands together and beamed, apparently having settled on something without asking either of you. Okay, I'm gonna be a professional golfer. Blake, you and Cove can be a beach volleyball player, a gymnast, or a tennis player. Why can't we pick anything we want? Because I have an idea, that's why. And we have to play sports as adults? Yep. But there's other kinds of sports too.
Right?
It isn't the same. What do you think, Blake? Don't those choices sound super cool? You want to be that, huh? Isn't there anything else we can be? I don't fucking care about sports, if I'm being so honest. Lizzie stomped a foot on the ground. Nope, come on, just decide already. Knowing Lizzie wouldn't let this go anytime soon, he sighed. Cove was not impressed with Lizzie's attitude, though he didn't bother talking more about it for now. He thought over the list of possibilities: beach volleyball, gymnastics, or tennis. Out of all of them, you'd prefer to play, I guess, beach volleyball? If you couldn't spend the afternoon at the beach for real, then you might as well pretend you were there. You could even wear your swimsuit to make it more realistic, although Lizzie probably wouldn't let you run off and do that now that she had you here. Why do I feel like Cove and I are in like a hostage situation with Lizzie? What is going on? Look at her eyebrows. She looks kind of evil right now. Girl, relax. Cove looks so fucking sad. He wants nothing to do with it. Shit. Okay? Yes, that was clearly the top option. Okay, I'm gonna be a volleyball player.
Alright!
Hooray for Lizzie being happy, I guess, even if no one else is. How about you, Cove? I'll have a volleyball team too. Lizzie threw her hands in the air, making an annoyed sound. You guys can't be the same thing. That's not how it works. You didn't say that. The rule is picking from the list. You can't keep adding more. Lizzie looked at the two of you, then shook her head, resigned to losing this battle, but not the war. Fine, you're both volleyball players, but you're on the same team because there's only one. Lizzie's ponytail bobbed when she proudly stretched her arms wide. The Olympic team. What? Aren't you like 10? Do 10-year-olds know about Olympics? I didn't know that shit when I was 10. Okay, I guess maybe their parents watch, or maybe their moms watch or something. Because I didn't know that shit when I was 10. What? We're Olympic athletes who just competed in the Olympics. Okay, I kind of see where you're going with this. Cove didn't seem all that impressed with the announcement. He made a face and adjusted the glasses on his nose. That's really specific. Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm with Cove right now.
Rude.
That's what makes it fun. Anyway. Lizzie marched back and forth in front of the both of you, getting lost in her own imagination. I won all gold medals, and people are calling me the next Mickey Wright. Who's that? Lizzie stopped on the spot and turned on him, her brown eyes shining with impatience. It doesn't matter if you know who she is. It's a golf thing. You guys won medals too. Your team placed at silver. It's more real if we're not all first place. I mean, we can do better than silver. In this imaginary world, why can't everyone get gold? Don't be hogging that shit. How dare. Hey, we can do better than silver. You pouted at Lizzie, unhappy with the decision. Blake's right.
Sorry.
Sorry. Lots of people lose at the Olympics. Them's the breaks. Then you're the one who did, not me. Lizzie looked taken aback by Cove's declaration, as though the thought of her losing was completely absurd. No way, it wouldn't make sense. I'm already practicing my golf game. She took a golfing stance to make her point, pretending to swing her club and hit an invisible ball. So what kind of house do you want to live in? Cove hadn't changed his mind about winning, but thinking about where he'd live as an adult appealed to him apparently, because he looked back at Lizzie with some of the anger fading. I'm going to live on the beach. Lizzie made a face at him, poking out her tongue. That's kind of boring. We already have that. No, not like a normal house here with a on it, right on the sand by the water. Just like that, all the tension was back. You hadn't even had a chance to choose where you would want to live. That's not very fun or smart, Cove. You can't live on a bunch of sand and shells. But I want to, and I will. Cove narrowed his eyes at Lizzie, even though she stood half a head taller than him. You didn't give out a list of things to pick from this time, so I'm picking that. Why are we even playing pretend if we can't imagine anything? Geez, well, I'm gonna live in a mansion, far away from here and far away from you. Okay, Lizzie, relax. Also, beach houses exist. You can live, on the beach, fool. One with an indoor pool and a place to practice my award-winning golfing. How come you were yelling about mine when your idea is even more impossible? Lizzie's face flushed red, her hands balling into fists at her sides. Oh boy, she mad now. It's not impossible and it's better than yours. Disagreements always seemed to crop up when the two of them were together, and you always felt like you were stuck in the middle. But when it came to the topic at hand this time, you thought, I gotta be honest, Cove is right here. Lizzie, you're being very extreme and unclear with your rules and then getting mad we say anything you don't fucking like. Yeah, Cove is right. Cove's idea is good. You shouldn't say yours is the only right one. Exactly. No one asked for your opinion. God damn, Lizzie, relax. Mad that I have a point? He smiled slightly over the agreement, then turned to Lizzie with bolstered confidence. You can swim whenever you want if you live on the beach. We can still swim anytime we want from where we live now. Being a little closer doesn't mean anything. Says you. The two of them scowled at each other. You're being so unreasonable. Damn, Lizzie's getting like a ticking time bomb right now, ready to fucking explode. Shit. I don't get what you want. This game doesn't make sense. It does. You have to be realistic. I said that. But you're not. You had no idea what to do to make them stop at this point. It seemed like the two of them would just keep working each other up as long as they could. Nothing you'd said so far had kept them from being mad. Thankfully, like a greeting card angel, Mom walked into the room. Lizzie rushed to her, hanging onto the hem of her shirt and poking out her tongue at Cove. Lizzie, Blake, it's time to get ready to go.
You alright with that?
Sorry you have to leave already, Cove. Their mommy said she'll walk you home so you won't be left in the cold. Left in the cold is such a strange saying when it's so hot outside that we couldn't go out and do something that wouldn't have been this shit. Just saying. Cove was still glaring at Lizzie, his face flushed red with anger. I can go by myself. But... Bye, Blake. There was still a harsh edge to the brief farewell, but you knew it wasn't you he was mad at. Without giving Mom a chance to stop him, Cove stood up and stalked out of the room, shoulders drawn tight.
Huh?
Okay. Worried, Mom turned to look down at you and Lizzie. You two were playing nice with our new friend, weren't you? Tell the fucking truth, Lizzie was such a brat for what, though? Cove was doing his best. Absolutely tell the truth. We were playing pretend and things got intense. They were like cats and dogs. Your sister's jaw dropped, looking betrayed as Mom put both hands on her hips. Elizabeth, I told you to be kind to him. He's having a hard time right now. Lizzie's mouth closed back up, replaced by a tiny frown. I know, I tried, but he was... No buts. We both know you can show someone a great time when you put your mind to it. We're going to apologize to Cove and his dad over the phone when he gets home from work tonight. Lizzie hung her head, dragging a foot across the ground in front of her. Okay, Mom. Good girl. You caught pieces of Lizzie sulking to herself about how it was his fault too, but it was over. Ah, right, we better get a move on.
Let's go.
Let's go, kids. Nalani, where did you leave the car keys? Mom hustled you all out the door, and you noticed during the car ride to golf practice that Lizzie was quieter than usual. She was usually the first one to request which music to listen to in the car, but she didn't say a thing. Your parents noticed she wasn't in a mood to be bothered. They gave her space, and Mommy just asked you what you would like to listen to. Picked your favorite song. It always made the car ride more fun. Chose a soundtrack to a cool movie you saw a couple months ago. Chose a song you knew Lizzie liked. Maybe that would cheer her up. See, any interactions with Lizzie is hard for me because in real life, I'm an only child. Like, I have technically an older half-sister, but I didn't interact with her a lot or ever live with her. So the whole sibling thing is, like, kinda up over my head. Yeah, let's choose a song for Lizzie. Maybe that'll get her out of the funk. You were happy to see it brightened her up right away, and she started singing along with you. Aw, see, everything works out. It's all good. Soon enough, her bad mood was a thing of the past. Hooray! We fucking did it, buddies! When the car ride was over, you spent the twilight hour watching Lizzie hit things with other girls her age. You didn't know much about golf, but you could tell she really liked it, so you sat with your moms and tried to puzzle it out. It was nice sitting outside after being cooped up in the house all day, and you stretched out your legs to let the last few minutes of sun warm your skin. When the sun was finally out of sight, dipping behind the horizon, you all got ready to leave. Instead of going straight home, your moms took the family out to dinner. You went to a restaurant that you had all been going to ever since you could remember. The whole afternoon had been a bunch of shouting. You hadn't been able to stop, but you could kind of tell that all this helped Lizzie be less angry. The car ride home was quiet, with only the radio providing escape from silence. Lizzie had been in better spirits now, but the closer you got to your neighborhood, the more she wiggled in her seat and frowned out the window. She knew what was coming when you all got back home. Clearly she was dreading it. Soon enough, Mom was turning on your street, then reversing into the driveway. Once she cut the ignition, it was dead silent. Oof. No one spoke, only unbuckled their seatbelts and opened their doors. Lizzie was the last one out. Once everyone was inside and done taking off their shoes, she propped her hands on her hips.
So,
Now then, Mr. Holden's car is in his driveway, so he should be back from work. That's good news, isn't it, Elizabeth? You and Cove can hash things out before the day's done. Lizzie didn't complain or put up a fight. Her head ducked so she didn't have to meet anyone's eyes. She nodded once. Good, let's move this to the kitchen. Mom went over to the house phone and the rest of you following behind her. Mommy put a gentle hand on Lizzie's shoulder as they walked side by side. You watched them from the back. This was only happening because you told on Lizzie. I mean, here's the thing. I don't consider it so much tattling. Like, telling on Lizzie would have been if the moms didn't ask anything and my character was just like, oh, Lizzie did da 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 da. But like, their mom asked a direct question, and lying would have been wrong. So it's really not on my character for being fucking honest. It was her fault for doing it in the first place. If we're gonna be so for real, that was so out of line. Lizzie needs some chill. You hadn't done anything wrong by telling the truth. It wasn't like Lizzie was going to say it on her own. The four of you stood around the kitchen in a lopsided square. All eyes were on Lizzie, who kept her gaze on her feet. You remember the number for Cove's house, don't you, honey? Lizzie jerked her head in another nod, sullen. Without further prompting, she stepped forward and she began to dial. I used to have a phone like that. Not in a long, long time, but still. Mom reached over and pressed a button on the base. Suddenly, you could hear the phone ringing. She turned on the speaker. The phone rang a couple of times, then stopped. Mr. Holden's warm voice came through the other end. Evening, Holden residence. I gotta be honest, I think that Cove's dad is like growing on me a little bit. Like, he seems like he means well about just about everything. Lizzie looked over at Mommy, unsure. She nodded encouragingly. Hi. Oh, she's so uncomfortable now. Hi, Mr. Holden. It's, Lizzie. Can I talk to Cove?
Absolutely.
Lizzie Thrasher? What a surprise. But of course you can say hey to the boy. He sounded cheery as usual, though definitely meant it when he said it was a surprise. You thought hard, and you were sure that your sister had never called Cove's house before. Mom spoke up before Mr. Holden or Lizzie could say anything more. Her arms were crossed over her chest, her lips pursed. Hi, Cliff, it's Noah. Hi, Cliff, Noah, Annie, Blake and I are here too. Good evening. We're sorry to bother you so late. You spoke up to say hello too. Hi, Mr. Holden. The gang's all here, huh? Is something the matter? His voice grew a bit concerned. Mommy was quick to reassure him. No, well, yes, but it's going to be okay. Lizzie and Cove got into a bit of a fight today. We were hoping that the two of them could talk and make up. Is this a good time for you and Cove?
What?
A fight? Cove didn't tell me anything about that when I came home. It does explain the funk he's been in tonight. He chuckled lightly. Despite that, it didn't seem like he really thought it was funny. Anyway, it's good you didn't catch us at a bad time. I'll go grab him for you. There was some shuffling on the other end. He must not have gone far because you could still hear him calling out. Cove, there's someone on the phone for you. After a beat of silence, there was more muffled talking from Cove's dad. Come on, bud, Lizzie called just so she could talk to you. Blake's on the other end listening too. Don't you want to say hi? It took a bit of back and forth, though the conversation seemed one-sided since you couldn't hear Cove properly. Eventually, Cove took the phone from his dad.
Hi.
Hello? Hey, it's Lizzie. Yeah, I know. Dad told me. Cove's tone was defensive. Lizzie turned to Mom, scowling. One stern look from her, though, and Lizzie turned away.
Sorry.
I just called to say I'm sorry for not playing nice with you today. I won't do it again. Lizzie's eyes were downcast, her voice low. You could tell she felt uncomfortable apologizing to Cove in front of everyone. She was still being genuine about feeling bad. Cove must have realized that too, because he sighed quietly. Me and Blake should get gold too. That's right. Lizzie had kept denying you two what you deserved. Lizzie was momentarily stunned, silent by the demand. She probably forgot that had even happened already. Alright, we all win the gold. Okay, I guess I'm sorry too. A sense of relief washed over everyone at his acceptance of the apology. Mom uncrossed her arms while Mommy's shoulders relaxed. Lizzie's eyebrows raised up. You wondered if she thought that he'd refuse her apology. Dad, can I get off the phone now? You couldn't see him, but it was obvious that Cove felt awkward about the situation. He had come off uncomfortable the entire time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go back to your room if you want. Be sure to say goodbye first, though. Bye, Lizzie. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Blake. You perked up at the mention of your name. You smiled even if he couldn't see it. Bye, Cove. With that said, Cove must have handed the phone to his dad and left since Mr. Holden spoke up.
That's a relief.
All's well that ends well, as they say. Thanks for arranging this. I'm sure he appreciates it. As Mom replied, Lizzie tugged on Mommy's hand to catch her attention. Can I go now, too?
Good job.
Sure, sweetie. Thank you very much for apologizing to Cove. Mom flashed a brief smile at Lizzie and nodded her agreement. Given permission to leave, Lizzie scurried off towards the stairs. She seemed to be feeling much better with the incident behind her. Mom and Mommy returned to the phone, taking it off speaker. They continued talking to Mr. Holden. You couldn't tell what about. You were glad that was the end of it all. Lizzie and Cove might not get along, and probably still won't. But they weren't mad at each other anymore. Mom and Mommy weren't upset either. Everything was finally back to normal. With that thought, you retreated to your own room with a spring in your step. Goodness, yeah. Lizzie was honestly like a douche in that one, and I don't know why. Like, I'm gonna guess it's probably like the whole older kid, I get to tell everyone what to do thing. But that still doesn't mean it doesn't suck. Like, that was lame. L Lizzie on that one. Fuck. Okay, long day. Ooh, I am gonna breathe and take another sip of water first. That's a lot of fucking reading. Like, good, solid, worth it, but tired. We still have about an hour in the stream, so we should be able to get through, what, maybe like 2 more, theoretically? Unless it won't even be a good measure of how many moments we can get through, because of the fact that we started, with the tutorial and with the character creation, so we'll probably be able to get more done soon. Damn. Okay, long day. It was another scorching summer day, the kind where no sooner had you finished 1 cup of water, you were already filling it up again. Everyone else had something on, so that afternoon it was just you and Shiloh. This didn't happen much, especially since Cove had arrived. Without Lizzie around, Shiloh looked to you for all the answers. It made you feel... I feel like I would be frustrated. Like, I don't like making decisions in general. I'm typically the one looking to other people to make choices. So, for someone to be like, hey, you decide everything, always, that would piss me off a little bit. He was always wanting to hear what you thought instead of giving his own opinion, and expected you to come up with the plans. It was hard work, especially for such a hot day. You drained yet another drink and frowned at the empty vessel. Your thirst was gone, but you still craved something icy cold and refreshing. Something sweet. Something like... Oh, gotta be an ice cream sandwich. The ice cream sandwich is such a classic dessert option. 10 out of fucking 10. Don't get me wrong, some popsicles are cool, some ice cream cones are okay. The ice cream sandwich is where the fuck it's at. You craved soft ice cream sandwich between two cookies. There was nothing like that to be found at home. You knew that without needing to look. Your moms didn't keep sweets in the house. Lame L-moms. Outside, there were plenty of places where such goodies could be obtained, but there were shops and demanded payment in exchange for their products. Curses. I would just fucking sigh, honestly, especially at 8 years old. I wouldn't think to, find money or anything. Yeah, sighed. As much as you really wanted that treat, it wasn't going to happen. What's wrong? I want an ice cream sandwich. Shiloh, who had been draped over the sofa, perked up.
Yeah.
That sounds good. We don't have any here, and I don't have any money. Oh, let me check if I have any. Shiloh rummaged in his backpack and proudly produced an assortment of coins plus one stray button. You set the button aside and counted the coins in neat piles. Just over $1. You announced this to Shiloh. He had almost certainly come to the same conclusion, but he had been watching you expectantly. It's a start. Shiloh beamed at you. We'll need to find some more. Okay. The two of you lifted couch cushions, stuck tiny hands down deep crevices in the sofa and under furniture, and scoured the back of drawers. Most of what you found was useless or gross. Bent paper clips, fluffy wisps of dust or sand crumbs, but every so often one of you would strike silver or bronze and add it to the growing pile of coins. Dusty and disheveled from checking every room and squinting into every tiny nook, the two of you finished pooling your finds. Shiloh held his breath as you counted the coins once again. $2.53 and 2 buttons. You didn't know when the second button had decided to join the party, but you were too pleased with your successful haul to throw it out. Is that enough? You figured he knew the answer without looking to you for confirmation, but the thrill of your success and the reward that would follow canceled out any other feelings you might have had about that. Yeah. You could now afford something from at the shops. Just one thing, but that was infinitely better than none. Shiloh clapped his hands. Yay! The two of you dashed outside, the promise of sugar buoyed you onto your destination where, breathless but happy, you stared at the overwhelming number of options. You knew what you wanted, but it wasn't just you who had contributed the funds to get the treat. He seemed to notice your pause. Aren't you getting an ice cream sandwich? Shiloh asked as though he was entirely separate from the decision rather than someone with a stake in the outcome. Do you mind? Shiloh cocked his head to the side. It was your idea. You should choose. Try to get something you both wanted anyway. It wasn't fair for you to be the only one to decide when he'd been the main factor in making this happen. Some of the money came directly from his backpack. What do you like? All of them. They're so good. Oh, Shiloh, would you please just have a fucking opinion? One opinion on one thing, please, one time? You pressed further. But what do you really like? Popsicles or ice creams? Which is your favorite? Aw, it's so hard to pick. I don't know. Shiloh, you are the human version of Switzerland and I hate it. Make a damn choice. Make a decision. Frustrated, you cut to the heart of the matter. You want me to choose? Yeah. And that was that. You got the dessert you wanted originally and hoped Shiloh would actually like it too. Finally, the reward for all your hard work was in your hands. You bit the ice cream sandwich, the chewy chocolate biscuit complemented the creamy vanilla ice cream inside. You held it out to Shiloh so he could take a turn. He shook his head.
You can finish it.
What do you mean I can finish it? We were a team on this. Shiloh, what are you doing, dude? He didn't want any after everything he did to help get it. That was weird. Yeah, I would hesitate so fucking hard. How are you gonna just let me have the whole thing?
It's okay.
Aw. It's okay, Blake. You want it more than I do. And I'm really happy that we got to play today already. You finish it. Well, it wasn't worth arguing further. The frozen treat was being worn away by the sun and started to trickle dangerously towards your fingers. If you waited much longer, then neither of you would be getting to eat it. Alright, thanks. The two of you began to head back home as you ate. You offered the treat once more to Shiloh, but he refused again. You walked side by side on the shore in silence, but your thoughts kept drifting to the boy beside you. Why didn't he speak up for himself? It was almost as if Shiloh didn't know how to say what he felt or was too afraid to. He's just, irritatingly agreeable. He's the exact opposite of Lizzie. Lizzie's too opinionated, and Shiloh refuses to have an opinion. And both kind of irritate the hell out of me. Are we friends? Shiloh opened his eyes wide, seemingly caught off guard by the blunt question. Yeah, I think so. He says that, but friends should be able to talk to each other without being scared. If Shiloh wouldn't do that, were you even really friends at all? He rubbed his hands together nervously over your non-reaction.
I'm sorry.
Why are you sorry? Dude, you don't even... Shiloh, you're such a mess, dude. You weren't sure how sorry he could be without knowing what he's even apologizing for, but you shook your head. You didn't do anything. It was true. Shiloh hadn't done something mean. He'd gone out of his way to make you happy. That didn't seem like it should be a bad thing, yet it bothered you. I just don't know if you like me. It's like it doesn't matter what I do, you're gonna act the same. I could be anybody and you wouldn't care. No, I like you. I really, really like you, Blake. I want to be friends. Okay. You smiled hesitantly at him, and his fidgeting ceased. Even though you weren't sure if you believed him, this was only making things worse. You decided that maybe there were all types of friends. If Shiloh wasn't able to do things differently, this would have to be alright. Shiloh made you unsure about setting a label on the experience spending the afternoon with just him. There had been good times, and there had been confusing ones. You were positive of one thing at least. The treat was delicious, and that was nice. The sun was low on the horizon as you returned to your neighborhood. There you spotted two very familiar figures up ahead, Lizzie and Cove. You opened your mouth to make your presence known to them, just as you saw the tears on Cove's face. Lizzie, what did you do this time? Why is dude crying again? You walked straight over, Shiloh at your heels. Once there, you carefully asked about what happened. What happened? Who did what? Lizzie, were you a jackass? You look kind of sad, but you could just be feeling guilty that he's fucking crying. Yeah, carefully ask about what happened. Without a time machine, the only way you were going to find out was by asking the witnesses. Lizzie might have done something, but she could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, or even come to Cove's aid. You wanted to hear the story. Cove, what happened? Blake, I got yelled at. The poor little bean. Who's yelling at Cove? Look at this face. How are you gonna yell at those eyes and those fucking wiggly little eyebrows? Like, what? Who yells at a kid with a cast? For real. Cove is like a baby. He doesn't do anything to anybody. He took a deep, steadying breath. Some grandparents got mad at me. Aw, sorry. Lizzie jerked her head in the direction of a nearby house. Your heart sunk. You knew exactly what had happened. Every year, the same mean old couple rented out that condo for the summer. You, Lizzie, and Shiloh knew to stay away from them, but Cove couldn't have. They're like that with everyone. Even your mom struggled to find anything nice to say about them, but the elderly pair particularly took offense to kids. It didn't matter if they were really nice like Cove. Oh, my little sad boy. Lizzie looks pissed. Lizzie looks ready to fight someone. Oh no. Yeah, Lizzie said that. Yeah, Lizzie said. Lizzie drew herself up at that. She looked pointedly in your direction. Oh boy. What is that look for, Lizzie? I don't like that she's looking at me like that. What are you thinking in that little brain of yours? I was helping. Okay. Good job, I guess. That's cool. Is there anything I can do? No, I'm just gonna stay away. Or you could teach them a lesson. I don't know what you're thinking about there, Lizzie. There was a devilish glint in her eyes. What? You should ding-dong ditch them. Go ring the doorbell and run. It'll be great 'cause they're so slow. They'll never catch you. That's dumb. I don't want to go near them ever again.
You're just saying that because you're a chicken.
Okay, Lizzie, that's not fair. They already don't like kids. If you do some stupid shit like that, it's just gonna be worse. Cove glared but didn't take the bait. Lizzie turned to you. You're not a chicken, are you? Yeah, cluck cluck. I'm a goddamn chicken, I guess. She can't tease you about being a chicken if you are, in fact, a chicken. Hunched over, you folded your arms to form wings and bat them up and down. Buck, buck, buck. For once, your sister seemed at a loss, but it didn't take long for her to regain her usual confidence. So you admit it. You continue to flap your arm wings as you circle your sister, clucking all the while. There's no shame in a chicken being a chicken. Yeah, you're chicken. Things were not going the way Lizzie expected. She fought against a laugh and looked for a way to restore her serious authority. You and Cove are both little chickens. Ah. Not the little laugh. Cove folded his arms, though the one with the cast wasn't as tightly tucked down, and joined you in cheeping around. It was hard to cluck through the giggles that rose when you saw him imitating a chicken, but you still both gave a first-class performance. The door to the old couple's condo flung open to reveal one of the culprits behind Cove's tears. You froze, wings raised. That's a sight to picture in your brain. Can't you let anyone have a bit of peace and quiet? He must not be a fan of theater or farm animals as well as kids. That was the only explanation for his outburst, which was far louder than anything you and Cove had done. Go on, beat it! It was distinctly unfair, but Cove's lip was trembling and you thought it would be best to heed his command. Lizzie took off with Shiloh immediately trailing after her without as much as a glance back in your direction. So much for your friendship. You waved your arm at Cove, summoning him to follow you, and ran after Lizzie. The old man's hollers propelled you all from the street to the sanctity of the hill. Only once you were safe did you notice the stitch in your chest and the ache of your legs. You flopped down, the blades of grass tickling your face. Lizzie, who had taken the lead in the end, was already lazing on the ground. The four of you took a moment to catch your breath and enjoy the feeling of cool grass against your skin.
Cove.
Hey, Cove. Cove lifted his head. I told you there were mean grandparents around here. Cove rolled his eyes, then decided this wasn't dismissive enough and rolled his whole body away from your sister. Lizzie chose to ignore his response and started chatting to Shiloh, who eagerly joined in the conversation. In the back of your mind, you knew you'd be second fiddle again to Shiloh once Lizzie came around. It always went like that. That was fine. I mean, everyone's got their people preferences and their friend preferences, I guess. And it was fine, you thought. Shiloh could prefer Lizzie as much as he wanted to. There were other things to attend to anyway. You wriggled closer to Cove. He had calmed down for the most part and was inspecting a flower. His fingers pinched the stem and tilted the white petals towards him. That's Poppy. Cove glanced at you in acknowledgement, then back to the flower. And the type of poppies on this hill have the name white linen poppy, Mom told me. He quirked a smile. That's funny. He ran a finger around the edge of the petals. It doesn't feel like cloth. You'd need a lot of them to make anything. He nodded and released the delicate plant. Evaluation complete. This is my favorite kind of flower, but I didn't know what it was called. Thanks. I don't know if I have a favorite flower. Let's see, snapdragons are cool. Sunflowers are kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know if I personally care about flowers. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I don't care about flowers. I only know what my mom tells me. But they're pretty. This hill wouldn't be as nice without them. You shrugged. Whether or not the hill was in bloom made no difference to you. You did like hearing what he thought, though. You moved onto your back with a small smile and looked at the darkening sky. The blanket of clouds reminded you of a thick throw you curled under on cold, rainy days. You wondered if the clouds would be as soft. They lazily floated on by, splitting from each other, merging and morphing into new shapes. I want to see an alpaca. Alpacas are cool. You saw a fluffy alpaca in the sky. You nudged Cove and pointed to it. Can you see the alpaca? Cove joined you in gazing skywards.
Whoa.
Not, it's more like a llama. Hey. He chuckled at your reaction. What 8-year-olds know the difference between an alpaca and a llama? I barely know the goddamn difference. All the sun's light faded from the sky, and the moon rose higher. Lizzie got to her feet, dusting strands of grass from her bare legs, and surveyed her surroundings. The ocean, visible from the crest of the hill, beckoned every sweep of the tide. Let's go to the beach. There was no argument from the other two. Shiloh was still Shiloh, and Cove would never say no to going to the shore. He was a child of the sea. You. You know what? Sure, let's go to the goddamn beach. Why not? So you eagerly joined the others in descending the hill down to the water. You stepped onto the sand for the second time that day, but it felt different at night. The beach was nearly quiet at this hour. Abandoned sand castles and footsteps in the sand, too big to belong to any of you, were the only indication of how busy it had been only hours earlier. The four of you kicked shoes off and removed socks and walked along the water's edge, the waves tickling your feet. I wonder what would happen if you tried to take a bath in the ocean, with shampoo and everything. That would be bad for the fish.
Jeez.
I didn't say anyone would do it. Jeez, you don't have to be so serious about everything. You're the one who asked what would happen. That is what would happen. It hurt the fishes. I like bubble baths at home. They're a lot of fun. Me too. Bubble baths are luxurious. You'd never heard Lizzie use that word before. Mommy loves to have bubbles in her bath. She'll turn the lights off and have candles. I'm gonna do that next time. Hey, when's your mom coming to pick you up anyway? Not for a while. She's busy. What about your dad? How come you never talk about him? Nobody does. Don't you know you're not supposed to ask something like that? Why would somebody want to talk about something they never talk about? You kept your eyes on the ground, watching your toes get swallowed by the waves. Even if Shiloh never seemed upset when this topic came up, it made you feel awkward just for having both of your moms. It's okay. I'm just like Lizzie and Blake. I don't have a dad. But I don't have two moms. I just have one. She's really great. Oh, sorry. I only have one now, too. My mom isn't here. She's back home. It's just my dad with me.
Sorry.
I never had a dad or anything, so I don't feel bad. It's really sad that your mom is gone. Cove nodded. Even if they're all different, our parents are good in their own ways. Yeah. Cove couldn't muster a response. You don't think he truly disagreed, though. The silence broke with a splash as Lizzie kicked in your direction. Cold water and sodden sand splattered against your legs. Lizzie giggled, foot still outstretched from the kick. Cove joined in, striking the incoming waves to make a splash of his own. Shiloh scurried out of Cove's spray zone with a grin. Oh, absolutely retaliate. Don't just run. You used your foot to smack the water pooling around you, sending an arc of sea foam flying back onto your sister. You laughed as she spluttered, some of the salty seawater having landed in her mouth. She spat it out. Oh no. Yuck. Lizzie chased you, intent on revenge. Oh boy. You dashed up and down the coast, taking it in turns to be the predator and the prey, as well as joining forces to take down Shiloh or Cove. Alliances were silently forged and wordlessly broken. Everything was fair game in war. Ah! Shiloh's brief exclamation was drowned out by the biggest splash yet, caused by him falling face first onto the ground. No. That would have been bad enough without the wave that followed, cascading over his prone body. Oof, Shiloh. Shiloh sat up, shaking his head like a dog coming in from the rain, as you all hurried over to check on him. His hair was plastered to his head and his soaked clothes flung. If there was any part of him that was still dry, you couldn't see it. That was crazy. Are you okay? Yeah, my foot got stuck and I fell over. Way to go, Shiloh, you Dumbo. Offer to help him up. Yeah, you offered him some help up. Dude took a fucking tumble. Shiloh didn't take your outstretched hand. After a moment, you dropped it. Jesus, Shiloh, I'm trying to be nice. Lizzie was too busy snickering to notice and held her hand out to Shiloh, too. He reached over and took it. Slowly, he started to pull himself from the ground. Then he slipped on the slick sand, dragging him and Lizzie down just in time for another wave to hit. The water rolled over them. Oh, what a mess.
Sorry.
Sorry. Shiloh, what happened? Talk about some bad luck. What were the odds of that happening twice in a row? You thought they must be low, but there's no way Shiloh would do something like that on purpose then pretend it was an accident, especially not to Lizzie. Even if your relationship with Shiloh felt unclear, he did at least like her a lot. Lizzie was his favorite, right? Smiling boldly, Lizzie extracted herself from the ground and wiped a streak of sand from her cheek. She didn't intend to let this embarrass her. Shiloh got up again as well, this time without incident. He still looked like a drowned puppy, but that didn't stop Cove from laughing at the two of them. With that, it was time to call it a day. The four of you made the journey back home, leaving a trail of wet footsteps and sand in your wake. Damp clothes may have weighed down some of the group, but your spirits were high. Your arms swung side to side as a cool breeze flowed past. Your moms were outside chatting to Cove's dad. We're back! Your moms' faces fell as they took in the state you were all in, ranging from messy to soaked.
Now.
Elizabeth, is that all you have to say for yourself? You brought half the beach back with you. They certainly did. What's Marigold going to do when she comes to get Shiloh? Is that how you want him to be for the long drive home, cold and filthy? Lizzie's expression turned sulky over the scolding. Being the oldest could be fun, but it also meant she was the first to get in trouble when something went wrong. Mr. Holden, on the other hand, chuckled as he ruffled Cove's matted hair. You've been out making memories, Bucko. I'm glad you had a good time with your friends. Cove used his slightly moist cast to push off his dad. Mr. Holden's eyes widened when he noticed that even that had gotten wet. Now he was worried too. I think they could have found a less risky way to spend time and had just as much fun. That might be right. Kids, what can you do? Come on, Cove, let's go get you cleaned up and dried off. We wouldn't want that cast to have to be reset. Cove winced at the thought. Okay. That a boy. Mr. Holden casually bent down and plucked Cove up off the ground, ultimately holding Cove against his chest. Sand was already transferring from Cove onto him, but that didn't seem to bother Mr. Holden. Cove protested being carried, but only got a reassuring pat on the back for his trouble.
Take care.
Good night, Cove. Thank you for the talk, Cliff. Night, Thrasher family, and Shiloh too. Resigned to his fate, Cove twisted his body in his dad's arms in order to turn around and wave goodbye. Smiling, he waved back. Good night.
Fine.
Well, we'd better do what we can to fix you guys up too. Come on, everybody inside. I want you to march straight to the downstairs bathroom.
Ugh.
Yes, Mom. Okay, Lucy's mom. don't worry about stopping to wipe your feet on the mat this time. That won't do much good tonight. Sitting on an old beach towel your mommy had found, you waited in the hall. Until you were less sandy, you weren't allowed to go to your room or walk around the house. But you did get to eat a sandwich for dinner there. It felt like an indoor picnic. It had been decided that Shiloh would wash first and borrow some of your clothes. He was already finished and packed away in his mom's car. Miss Fields had come to collect him a little while ago. It was a bit of a funny experience seeing him without that hat for once. Lizzie, being much more soaked than you, got to go in the tub next. It wasn't a bubble bath as she hoped. This was a no fun allowed cleanup session. At least that's what she claimed. Not much longer and it would be your turn. When the bath was done, you'd have to go right to bed. After a day like this, though, you were glad there weren't going to be any further events. Drifting off to sleep sounded like a great idea. Okay, y'all, we only have like 20 minutes, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it early just because I personally don't want to stop in the middle of a moment. I'd rather stop at like a decent point. Not to mention that was so much reading out loud that I'm not going to lie, I think my brain is a little fried. So I'm going to call it here. We're going to do a little save real quick. Where the fuck my mouse is disappearing on me. Yeah, you know what? Sure, we'll save right there, and this will be where we continue tomorrow. Other than that, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I do appreciate it. And as always, take care of yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. It's hard being a person. You're doing the best you can. I am proud of you. And don't forget to live a life that pisses off a bigot. Bye, y'all.